Nigel Harvey, I'm Chief Executive of Recolight. We're an organisation who run a nationwide, free of charge service to help businesses and consumers recycle their energy-saving light bulbs, their fluorescent tubes, and in the fullness of time, LED lights as well. It's not cheap, it costs us a lot of money, and it's paid for by the companies that produce those. We've got over 120 companies that are members of our scheme, and they fund us a little bit, and we use that then to make a free of charge recycling service available. And the legal basis under which we operate is the WEEE regulations. WEEE stands for Waste, Electrical and Electronic Equipment. So what's the significance of what's significant about WEEE? WEEE is Europe's fastest growing waste stream, but it's also the source. It's also an area in which a lot of raw materials are required to be used to produce that electrical and electronic equipment. And so increasingly, as we see natural resource prices increase and become scarcer, the recycling of waste electricals and getting the resources back out is becoming ever more important for the industry, for businesses, and in fact it's recognised now at some UK and European level as one of the ways in which we need to protect our national and our European interests by protecting access to resources. It's about it's about resource efficiency, it's about the circular economy as well. Increasingly, if we can move from being a linear economy where we get natural resources, we make products, and then we bin them, to a circular economy in which waste becomes a source of raw materials for new products being produced again, we will become a little more self-sufficient. It's quite important because there are some serious geopolitical threats to the UK and Europe, and if I can give one example from the lighting sector, something like 90% of the world's rare earths are controlled by just one country, China. And about 2 years ago, the costs of rare earths got massively increased, and that had a significant impact on the electronics sector, particularly those that use a lot of rare earths, and the lighting sector is one such. By getting access to our waste and access to the resources within our waste, we secure our future to be able to produce more of those products. And the way we did it in the lighting industry is actually inside of every fluorescent tube there's a thin white coating of powder, and that's where the rare earths reside. So we collect that, and we're now making that available to the companies who are our producer members to use back in the production of new light sources. The illegal export of waste is an important political issue in the UK, and it's been widely covered on programmes like current affairs programmes. And there's a lot of waste that is hazardous, and in fact light bulbs and fluorescent tubes are hazardous. They contain a tiny amount of mercury. The UK's WEEE regulations were implemented in July of 2007, but there's another update due by 2014. I'll be talking more about that in a moment. Importantly, this is all what's called extended producer responsibility legislation. That means the producer is responsible for financing the recycling of their waste when it reaches end of life. Intriguing, isn't it? Because in most, one would normally think you manufacture a product, you sell it, and that's it, finished, end of. In fact, that's not the case here. And so increasingly, producers have to be able to think about the recyclability of their products when they reach end of life, when they're first making them. So how do companies comply with the existing WEEE regulations? Well, actually, it's relatively straightforward. The scope covers a large range of electrical products, and any producer of electrical and electronic equipment that is in scope, and it is most products, needs to comply. Now that includes companies that import from outside of the UK and sell them in the UK, companies that put their own brand on, or manufacture inside the UK. And we're talking now UK, not European. So if you import something from France or Germany, let alone whether it's from the Far East, you need to comply with the WEEE regulations, and a failure to do so actually is an offence. And the way it's done is that the regulations allow for the setting up of compliance schemes, who effectively it's clubbed together to provide a consolidated recycling service, and that's what we are for the lighting industry. We're a clubbing together of 120 companies who produce a wide range of lighting products, and we can therefore provide a more efficient recycling service because we've got a large number of organisations all contributing to our costs. And our responsibility then is for managing recycling and the financing obligations in the regulations. Producers also have to mark all of their electrical equipment with that cross-WEEE bin symbol and put their brand on the electrical products, and keep various records of the electrical equipment they sell, and that needs to go back into the Environment Agency. Importantly, the WEEE regulations do prioritise the need to reuse electrical equipment. That's very important. I think we'd all see that there's more. It makes more sense to reuse electrical than to see it scrunched up and recycled and sort of converted into raw materials. It's a better environmental outcome. So what's happening in terms of the changes? Well, in 4 areas: timeline, scope, and retailer obligations and targets. And I'll rip through these as quick as I can. The timeline: by the 14th of February 2014, the UK must have transposed the update to the directive in national law. The Department of Business, Innovation and Skills will be consulting in just over a month to 2 months' time on how the changes might look, with regulations being laid before Parliament in October. Whoops, 2 jumps. In fact, I'll jump beyond this. The scope will get wider in 6 years, but we'll leave that. Retailers have an obligation to collect very small waste electricals from 2014. That means anything that is waste electrical that has a maximum external dimension of 25 centimetres rather. Retailers will now have to collect, unless they take advantage of an opt-out, which would probably involve them funding other collection mechanisms. The target is the key issue, and for 2014 and 15 there's no real change in terms of the amount of waste electricals that UK PLC will have to recycle. But in 2016 it jumps up to 45% of the average of the weight of electrical equipment sold over the previous 3 years. And then in 2019 it jumps up to 65%, quite a jump in just 3 years. Now if you work out, and the latest data available is 2011, if you work out how UK PLC is doing across all sectors, we're actually doing about 33% of waste electricals that are being recycled as a proportion of electricals being sold. So you can see that 33 to 45 is actually quite a big jump for us all. And the biz consultation, as I said, is due in March, and it will look at a number of things, including a fairer system for dealing with the costs of waste, of household waste. And I won't trouble anyone with this, but it's fundamentally flawed legislation that they're operating at the moment. They recognise that, and they're hopefully going to do something about it in the forthcoming consultation. Most importantly, though, they'll consider how they're going to pass those targets on, because jumping from 33 to 45% is a big task. It's quite likely that they will place targets on individual producer compliance schemes, which all producers of electrical equipment will need to be members, and then they are responsible for going out and trying to find and grab more waste to enable them to meet their targets. So, who is responsible for that target is going to be quite a big issue that will be considered. They're also going to look at a simple method of compliance for small companies, which is fantastic. And that's it. A very brief overview of changes to the WEEE regulations and the importance of the recycling of waste electricals. There's a lot being done already to try to increase the rate from 33% up to 45%. We've got over 2,000 collection points nationwide for waste lamps, and other organisations have done similar things, but even so there's more undoubtedly needs to be done. Thank you very much.